Okay, I'll bring this meeting to order. This is a continuation of hearing 2023-044 for a conditional use for a commercial solar energy facility. We had kept the hearing open for some additional information that the petitioner provided. So at this time, I would just ask if I'll go down the row, if any of the zoning board members have questions based on that information, starting with Ms. Donna.
I do. On the attachment to your answers to the questions, you have the Taliesin Social Responsibility Code of Conduct.
Yes, ma'am.
There are paragraphs that are stamped with a Chinese stamp.
Okay.
What's that mean? Is that something they don't go with, or is it something that because there are certain paragraphs that are stamped, and it's gotta mean something.
Yeah, let me pull that up. And that was provided to us by our procurement lead.
Right.
So to your point, I'm looking at it now, so we're probably looking at the same document. That first page has the Taliesin stamp.
And as you go through it,
Yeah.
there's stamps on certain paragraphs.
Yeah.
And I don't know of what consequence those are. You may not either, if that's just a normal document and your procurement people.
And I apologize, I don't. So this is certainly generated from them. I don't think, I only speak English, so there's my big caveat. Like I don't think that first stamp is, that looks like maybe Vietnamese, which of course, these are from Vietnam. I think those later stamps might be something different.
Okay, if they're Vietnamese as opposed to Chinese, then
Yeah.
I can just go show them to my stylist.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Well, I think that first one, it makes sense. To your point, the other ones look, I don't know the right terms.
That's okay. I just don't know if that was something that they needed to do in order to comply, or if that was something that was waiving a certain thing, but they weren't really consequential paragraphs.
Sure. I think
But I'm just a nosy.
the way I interpreted it, of course, not being able to speak those symbols, it's kind of like when an attorney will kind of mark off at the end of a page and pen, say like, hey, this wasn't just a document someone printed.
We approve it.
Someone's got eyes on this type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Any other questions? Ms.
Go ahead.
Donner?
No, I have no other
Okay,
questions.
Mr. Cozen.
Thank you. Does the Shepherd's Agreement include any training or orientation for that personnel to recognize the condition of the solar array if they were to come upon it or so forth?
Interesting. Some basic stuff. So we would encourage them not to try to do any kind of maintenance or anything like that on the actual array. I would need to get back to any specifics. Certainly we'd want to help them know, hey, these are the parts to kind of stay more around and whatnot. In terms of, does something look out of order, just call us type deal. Yeah.
But it wasn't so noted as an obligation or an expectation of service in the agreement.
Could you say that again? I'm sorry.
That instruction
Sure.
was not specifically noted in the agreement.
Okay. Let me take this note, and let me say this back to you to make sure I comprehend. So something about our contract with the Shepherd should...
They're the first eyes on the scene.
If they see something's wrong with the equipment or something like that.
Right.
I like that note. Let me...
Especially since the reference was that the goats tend to eat everything and the sheep don't. This may be a benefit.
Which is certainly why we prefer the sheet. Let me give that note. I think, and this would be for our O&M director who handles this a little bit more, but I would anticipate not wanting to put too much burden on someone that's outside their expertise, but if it's obvious, right? If something's going on and maybe our digital tracking is not managing that. Chair, if I could take that note really quick before we go to the next question.
May I ask a question?
Wait, we'll go down the line.
Still
Yeah.
going.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is the...
Madam Chairman, what he's finished reading, just make a mistake.
Yeah, we'll go down the line. I'll come back.
Obligation to report apparently faulty or broken equipment or something like that. Okay. And I'll have to, the experts maybe punch that language up. Thank you for that note. I think that's a good one.
Is as there is a shepherd's agreement, is there any existing pollinator agreement for the maintenance of the bees or whatever? Do you have?
If we were keeping a bee colony,
Yes.
there would be something similar to that. Yeah, that wasn't requested at our last CBA. Yeah.
I have no further questions on that.
Mr. Eldridge, any?
I have no questions.
Ms. Gardner?
None.
Mr. Schnabel?
Two. Is there not a Knox box at the facility for a key for the fire department to get through the gate?
Correct. Yes, sir.
At said location of Knox box, is it not standard procedure more or less to have some kind of informational placard regarding your name, your site number, emergency contact information for anyone that would need to have such information?
To alert us, Roger, Kurt, and it sounds like you're remembering from our application where we show an example of this is how you get a hold of Pivot, this is how you get a hold of the utility, and we provide all that information.
That's all that I wanted to confirm. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Mr. Jers, any questions?
No, not at this time.
Ms. Donner, you have another
I
question?
do have one comment.
Question.
Oh, no, okay, then I'm done.
Okay. Does any member of the public have a question based on the new information that was presented?
Did we address the road? Did anyone, we still haven't heard anything about what they're gonna do to the road in?
That's nothing to do with our zoning hearing. The road that you have is a different
Well,
issue.
who do I talk to about a road? Because, I mean, if you're saying you got conditional use permit for commercial property that's going on agricultural property, that's a big thing to bite off. And then we have a road that services our houses.
Kim, can you handle this?
Yeah, the county, as Chair mentioned, we don't get involved in easements, so if there's a shared driveway agreement, that's something that you would need to talk to an attorney to find out how that is addressed or what the language of the easement is.
No, I know what an easement is, but I've been there for 23 years. I don't need to talk to an
Oh,
attorney
that's
about
not part
anything.
of this
But
hearing. I'm
Well,
sorry,
we're
that's
saying, well,
not,
who do we go to talk to about the road?
that's not part of this zoning hearing.
Madam Chair, Anna
Yes.
Kurtzman, Senior Planner on the record here. Anyone who's speaking from the public, please identify yourself. This is being recorded.
Oh,
Annette
yes, thank you.
Henry C.
I'm sorry, can you speak again in your address?
15704 North Route 14, Woodstock, Illinois.
Okay. Okay, so no other questions regarding this? Do you have any other statement? Okay, so at this time, we will close the hearing portion and we'll move on to the voting portion of the meeting. We
And
have,
then, excuse me, Madam Chair, before you vote, you do need to confirm with your members that they did read the testimony.
yes, okay, yes, definitely. When we had this hearing, there were only 4 people here, so I'm just going to go down the line, and if you were not here, if you would just identify yourself, in the township, and if you read the transcript. So we'll start on my left, Ms. Conley.
Mary Donner, Greenwood Township, I was present.
Robert Cozen, Algonquin Township, I was not present, and I did listen to the zoning petition transcript for 2023-043 and 2023-044.
Charles,
Excuse me, sir, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
And I reviewed the response by Privet to certain identified questions that were distributed. Thank you, sir.
I'm Charles Eldridge. I was not present at the hearing. I did read the transcript, and I also read the memorandum responding to a number of questions that were raised during the hearing.
I'm Linnea Kustra, I was here, and I also read the questions that were presented, or the testimony that was presented regarding the questions at the hearing.
Vicki Gardner, Nunda Township. I was here, I also read the questions that they responded to, and I also listened to the transcript and read the transcript. Overkill, I know.
Kurt Schnabel, I was present at the meeting from Riley Township, and I did read through Pivot Energy's responses to the questions that we had, and have no further questions of them.
Tom Jers from Coral Township. I was not present at the hearing, but I did read the transcripts that were emailed to me.
Okay. Does that satisfy our requirements?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
So now we'll move on to the conditions provided us by staff. Number 1, the conditional use shall have no time limit unless the use is abandoned as specified in 16.56.030.pp.4 of the McHenry County Unified Development Ordinance. Number 2, site development shall be in substantial conformance with the site plans prepared by Pivot Energy, dated November 21, 2023, parcel number 1, and November 2, 2023, parcel number 2, attached. Number 3, the decommissioning plan shall be applicable in part as well as in whole. If any portion of the commercial solar energy facility ceases to perform its intended function for more than 12 consecutive months, that portion of the facility shall be decommissioned in compliance with all the terms of the decommissioning plan. Number 4, a McHenry County stormwater management permit shall be secured prior to construction. Any damaged drainage tiles shall be repaired at the expense of the petitioner and in a manner satisfactory to the Water Resources Division Manager. Number 5, a detailed landscape plan illustrating compliance with required landscape screening standards shall be approved by the zoning enforcement officer prior to issuance of construction/building permit. Number 6, fencing shall be provided in compliance with the National Electrical Code as applicable. The use of barbed wire is prohibited. Setting fence posts in concrete is prohibited except for gate posts and where otherwise required for stability. Number 7, recommendations made by the Illinois Department of Natural Resources in their June 16, 2023 letter to the applicants with regard to protected resources in the vicinity of the project location shall be followed. Number 8, all requirements of McHenry County Unified Development Ordinance 16.56.030.pp as amended, subject to State of Illinois Public Act 102-1123, shall be met or exceeded unless specifically amended by this conditional use permit. Number 9, all other federal, state, and local laws shall be met. Are there any other proposed conditions?
Madam Chairman, I move acceptance of the conditions as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Gardner. Any discussion? Then I'll call for the vote. Mr. Eldridge?
Yes.
Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Cozen?
Yes.
Mr. Schnabel?
Yes.
Mr. Jers?
Yes.
Ms. Donner?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, so the conditions are approved 7-0. At this time, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
This is a motion to approve.
It's a motion to approve the petition subject to the conditions.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, the motion made by Mr. Eldridge, second by Ms. Donner. Discussion, Mr. Eldridge.
The McHenry County Zoning Board of Appeals is limited in what it can do by state statute that basically requires us to approve any petition for a solar farm that meets certain limited state standards which were outlined in that statute. I find that the petitioner has met or exceeded all of those standards. I believe that in addition to that, I think they've been very forthcoming in responding to questions we had that they probably didn't have to, and have made a better, significantly better than average presentation with regard to this. I would also comment that, at least in my view, the location for this facility is one of the better locations I've seen for the location of a facility like this. And so, while we are obligated to, I'm quite comfortable in voting in favor of this petition.
Ms. Donner.
No comment. I was going to say exactly what Charlie said.
Okay, Mr. Cozen.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman. After listening to the extensive testimony that was and the details, following along. I was impressed with the scope and the coverage, and as well as specifically the reference of a potential partnership in my area of the county, McHenry County Community College. Recently, the college included itself on an open farm tour and took great pride that their solar panels have been incorporated in an agricultural course of study. I encourage that. I also take some interest in a visit to Blackbird College in Carlinville, Illinois, where they have incorporated such a facility in unused athletic field and brought forward a device so in the student union, the students can see how they are balancing their power needs for the campus and in the future. That type of enthusiasm and offering gives me support for this petition. Thank you.
Ms. Gardner?
I feel that this petition was laid out to us very well. Definitely answered all our questions and beyond. And I appreciated learning more about the agrivoltaics aspect of this and exactly how that will work with the sheep and the grazing and so on and so forth. And not something I was real enthusiastic about, but now I feel much better. Thank you. And I do believe this is a good place for this particular facility, so I am in favor.
Mr. Schnabel?
Yeah, I agree with much of what's been said. I think you have given us by far one of our better proposals that we've listened to, and we've listened to, what, dozens and dozens of them now. No project site is perfect. This is a commercial area, state highway, etc. I will be supporting the petition and recommend that you've met the requirements and exceeded them, especially as pertains to the answers to our questions that you were able to provide. So that's all for me. Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Jers?
Yeah, the shape of the parcel kind of being a bowling alley shaped parcel, with today's machinery, at production ag, it doesn't lend itself to be farmed. It's probably a difficult parcel to get a good tenant for top dollar. The productivity index is not grade A, it's like a grade B or B plus soils. In the neighborhood, there's probably, within a quarter mile of this, there's probably at least 6 different zoning classifications on the county map. And for those reasons, I'll be supporting it.
I agree with the comments of my colleagues. I think this does meet the state standards, and I think the other things that our county does as far as stormwater management and fencing and the plantings for the pollinators, you know, that this petitioner will be, as part of this, the conditions that they will be providing that is all good. I also love the community donation of almost $30,000 that will, and the partnership with organizations in the county. So I also like that this is an owner-operator on this parcel, and so for that and all the reasons already mentioned, I'm in favor of the request. So I will call for the vote. Mr. Eldridge?
Yes.
Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Cozen?
Yes.
Mr. Schnabel?
Yes.
Mr. Jers?
Yes.
Ms. Donner?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, so this will go to the county board with a 7-0 vote approving. Now we will move on to petition number 2023-043. And again, this is a petition for conditional use permit to allow for a commercial solar energy facility. Excuse me. Both of my staff reports say 044.
Oh, here, you want to use mine?
Can I?
I don't.
Thank you. So again, this is 2023-043. The request is for a conditional use permit to allow for a commercial solar energy facility. And again, the questions that were asked some of them were about this parcel versus the last parcel. So does any member of the zoning board have any questions of the petitioner? I know, Vicki, you had a question on electric poles or whatever.
No, I was the one that answered that question.
Oh, that's right.
Kurt needed the
Oh, yeah, that's right. So does anyone have any questions regarding the extra?
No questions.
Okay.
No question.
Okay, so, so at this time, we will close the hearing portion of this petition as well, and we will move on to the voting portion. And there are some proposed conditions for this petition as well. I will read them, starting with number 1. The conditional use shall have no time limit unless the use is abandoned, as specified in 16.56.030.pp.4 of the McHenry County Unified Development Ordinance. Number 2, site development shall be in substantial conformance with the site plan prepared by Pivot Energy dated October 30th, 2023. Number 3, if the site plan is modified beyond the limits of the 22 4/10 acres identified in the Natural Resources Information Report 23-056-4516, the solar developer shall contact the McHenry Lake County Soil and Water Conservation District regarding the potential for a new report. Number 4, the decommissioning plan shall be applicable in part as well as in whole. If any portion of the commercial solar energy facility ceases to perform its intended function for more than 12 consecutive months, that portion of the facility shall be decommissioned in compliance with all the terms of the decommissioning plan. Number 5, a McHenry County stormwater management permit shall be secured prior to construction. Any damaged drainage tiles shall be repaired at the expense of the petitioner and in a manner satisfactory to the Water Resources Division Manager. Number 6, a detailed landscape plan illustrating compliance with required landscape screening standards shall be approved by the zoning enforcement officer prior to issuance of construction/building permit. Number 7, fencing shall be provided in compliance with the National Electrical Code as applicable. The use of barbed wire is prohibited. Setting fence posts in concrete is prohibited except for gate posts and where otherwise required for stability. Number 8, all requirements of McHenry County Unified Development Ordinance 16.56.030.pp as amended, subject to State of Illinois Public Act 102-1123, shall be met or exceeded unless specifically amended by this conditional use permit. Number 9, all other federal, state, and local laws shall be met. Are there any other proposed conditions?
Madam Chairman, I move acceptance of the conditions as proposed.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Eldridge and seconded by Ms. Gardner. Any discussion on the conditions? I don't have the page in here for some reason, so.
That's not it right there, is it?
So I will call for the vote. Mr. Eldridge,
Yes.
Ms. Gardner,
Yes.
Mr. Cozen,
Yes.
Mr. Schnabel.
Yes.
Mr. Jers.
Yes.
Ms. Donner.
Yes.
And I will vote yes, so the conditions are approved 7-0. At this time, we would entertain a motion for the
I move
request.
acceptance of the petition subject to the conditions.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been made by Mr. Eldridge, seconded by Ms. Donner, to approve the petition. Discussion, Mr. Eldridge.
Yes. Similarly to the previous petition, my comments really are essentially the same, that under state law, we must approve a petition which meets the very basic standards that the state sets forth. I find that the petitioner has met and in many cases exceeded those standards. As I said, I believe that they have been very forthcoming in giving us answers to questions we had beyond the scope of their initial presentation. I believe that their proposed facility is better designed and better planned than most we see. And once again, I think the location is an appropriate location for a facility of this sort. So having said the foregoing, I not only am required to vote yes, but I'm very comfortable in voting yes.
Ms. Donner?
No statement.
Mr. Cozen?
The presentation went into such a deep dive that even I found myself enjoying it, especially the technological part of it, the use of string inverters, limiting the audio, limiting the risk to the adjoining area. Also, the ability to remotely test down to the panel level, including security both on either side of the panels. And for that type of presentation, the record clearly would support my findings.
Ms. Gardner?
Well, unlike Mr. Cozen, I don't care that much about the technical aspects. I'm glad they're there. I again agree that this is a good place for this project. I feel that it's going to be run very well, very professionally. And as for the neighbors of this project, I think that you'll be a good neighbor to them, that you'll be reachable should any problems arise, and that you'd be willing to work on anything that is concerning them. So I'm definitely in favor.
Mr. Schnabel?
I will be supporting the petition as well.
Mr. Jers?
I don't mind being the black sheep. I can live with that. I'm very familiar with the neighborhood. These soils are some of the best in the county. And not only, besides good soils, it's across the street from the Woodstock city limits, and it's across the street from the Bull Valley city limits, which would impede the growth of both of those towns. Whoever gets there with pipe first will wind up annexing it, and it'll probably go to housing. We've got a real great high school out there in the same location. Because of the location, the proximity of municipal services on two cities, Bull Valley and Woodstock, I don't think it's a proper site for solar, and I will not be supporting it.
And I will just say that we received no negative comments from either municipality regarding this petition, and it's within planning jurisdiction of Woodstock and Bull Valley, I believe. And I believe the conditions have been met, and I'm in favor of the request. So I'll call for the vote. Mr. Eldridge?
Yes.
Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Cozen?
Yes.
Mr. Schnabel?
Yes.
Mr. Jers?
No.
And Ms. Donner?
Yes.
So this will go to the county board with a 6-1 vote approving.
Very good.
At this time, the hearing is closed. Thank you, everyone.